are actually now going to be discussing something I would say is the most important issue facing the United States. In 1975, most women in this country, 91%, were married by the age 30. 2025, that's down to 25 point something percent. Now, that'd be fine if women were happier. They're more miserable than ever. So they're getting their degree. They're not having families. They find it harder to find a man because they spend their time pursuing a profession. And they tend to be making more in those instances than the men who they would consider to be mates. And so they're discounted. We are actually now going to be discussing something I would say is the most important issue facing the United States. And I've said this many times. I think that cultural issues have much more significance than a lot of our political institutions. And it doesn't mean that political institutions don't determine a lot of what takes place in culture. But many Americans, politics is kind of a team sport, how people view it, or they view it as something that is just dirty no matter what. So they often don't pay attention to it. But they are constantly affected by, and they are constantly inundated with whatever the culture deems acceptable, or whatever the culture deems necessary to propagandize people with, which we have seen. We've seen one specific worldview being thrust upon the American public since the 1960s. That's how they've achieved power over our institutions. It really began, you can go back to the 30s, 40s, but 1960s was that tipping point, came to fruition in the 70s, thanks to Marxism, thanks to feminism. And by the way, feminism cannot exist without Marxism. We're not talking about a woman who wants to go be a nurse. No, that was never a problem. We're talking about the idea that men and women are fundamentally interchangeable, and there's no ideal scenario in which to rear children. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about feminism. Mm-hmm. And it does follow in Marxism.